What I'm about to tell you might turn your stomach. Right now, there are wives cheating on their husbands and making those very husbands believe they're the ones to blame. These women have turned emotional manipulation into a high-level skill, and they're using it to cover up their affairs while convincing their husbands to apologize for simply asking questions. Before we dive into this disturbing reality, make sure to hit that subscribe button and drop a comment below to let me know where you're tuning in from. What you're about to hear isn't just infidelity, it's full-blown psychological warfare. These 5 manipulation tactics are so powerful, they can make good, honest men feel like they're crazy, while their wives live double lives right under their noses. I've watched this pattern destroy relationship after relationship. And the scariest part? It's not random. It's methodical. These are not emotional outbursts. They're calculated moves, carefully crafted to keep the affair alive while keeping the husband compliant, confused, and convinced he's the problem.
Manipulation number 1, the reverse accusation attack. The moment you start noticing suspicious behavior, instead of defending herself, she immediately flips the script and accuses you of something. You question her late nights, and suddenly she's attacking your wandering eye at dinner last week. You ask about the phone calls, and now you're being interrogated about why you were talking to the waitress yesterday. This manipulation exploits masculine guilt and the desire to be seen as trustworthy. Men are wired to defend their honor. So when accused, they shift into defense mode and completely forget their original concern about her behavior. She knows this about you, and she's weaponizing it. The setup is always the same. You bring up something that doesn't add up. Maybe she said she was at work late, but her coworker mentioned she left early. Instead of explaining the discrepancy, she immediately counters with, "I can't believe you're checking up on me with my coworkers. What's next? Are you going to follow me?" But wait until you hear what she does next. It's so twisted that most men never see it coming. While you're busy proving you're faithful, she's buying time to cover her tracks, coordinate stories with her affair partner, and plan her next moves. Your honor becomes her smokescreen. She's literally using your integrity against you. The devastating effect is that you end up apologizing for having legitimate concerns. You walk away from the conversation feeling like you did something wrong when all you did was notice that her story didn't make sense. She's trained you to feel guilty for being observant. Men hate being seen as untrustworthy or hypocritical. The accusation triggers a deep need to clear your name, which completely derails any investigation into her suspicious behavior. By the time you've defended yourself against her false accusations, the original issue is forgotten, and she's gained valuable time to solidify her lies. And this is just the beginning. What I'm about to show you in manipulation number 2 will blow your mind. Manipulation number 2, the exhaustion performance. She starts having emotional breakdowns about how hard marriage is, how exhausted she is from trying to make you happy, how she feels like she's failing as a wife. These aren't real breakdowns. They're calculated performances designed to shift the power dynamic in her favor. These breakdowns serve multiple purposes. They make you feel guilty for suspecting her. They position her as the victim in the marriage. And they create sympathy that make you want to comfort her rather than confront her. It's emotional manipulation at its finest. The timing of these performances is never random. They happen right after you voice suspicions, right before she needs more freedom, or right when you're about to demand answers. She's not breaking down because she's overwhelmed. She's breaking down because she needs to regain control of the narrative. If you think that's bad, wait until you see how she weaponizes her own emotions against you. Her exhaustion from being a good wife makes you feel like a terrible husband for not appreciating her efforts. You start overcompensating, giving her more freedom, less oversight, more trust, exactly what she needs to continue the affair. She's using your compassion against you. The performance follows a predictable script. She'll cry about how hard she's trying, how nothing she does is ever enough, how she feels like she's walking on eggshells.
Meanwhile, the real reason she is exhausted is because maintaining a double life is genuinely draining.
But instead of confessing to the affair, she's making you feel responsible for her emotional state. These aren't random emotional moments. They're carefully timed weapons designed to shut down your investigation. The moment you start connecting dots, out comes the tears and the victim's performance. And because you're a good man who doesn't want to see his wife suffering, you back down from pursuing the truth. But here's the sickest part. While you're holding her and telling her she's a good wife, she might literally be getting text messages from the man she's sleeping with. The breakdown isn't real, but your guilt and sympathy are, and she's banking on those emotions to protect her secret. But here's where it gets really sick. Stick with me, because manipulation number 3 involves people you trust. Manipulation number 3, the friend network shield. She surrounds herself with female friends who become her alibi army. These women provide cover stories, fake events, and social pressure that makes you look controlling if you question her social life. It's not just one woman lying to you. It's an entire network of enablers. Her friends start treating you differently, cooler, more distant. They drop comments about how lucky she is or how patient she is with you. This creates a social environment where questioning her means fighting an entire network of people who are supposedly on your side. The social manipulation works because these friends confirm her stories, provide alibis, and subtly criticize your jealousy. When multiple women are telling you that you're being paranoid, it becomes nearly impossible to trust your own instincts. The group consensus becomes her shield against your suspicions. You won't believe how far this conspiracy goes, and I'm not even at the worst part yet. Meanwhile, she starts criticizing your friends, creating tension in your social circle, making you less likely to confide in anyone who might give you clarity or support your suspicions. She's isolating you while building her own support network of accomplices. These friends know what's really going on. They're not innocent bystanders. They're active participants in the deception. They help coordinate stories, provide false alibis, and create fake social events that give her cover for meeting her affair partner. Some of them might even be cheating themselves, creating a culture where infidelity is normalized and justified. The group dynamic is powerful because it makes you feel like you're fighting against reality itself. When her best friend confirms that they were together shopping when you suspected she was somewhere else, when her sister backs up her story about the girls' weekend, when her coworkers verify the work event that kept her out late, you start to believe that maybe you really are paranoid. But she's not just building an army of enablers. She's dismantling your support system piece by piece. She criticizes your friends for being bad influences, suggests that your brother is too negative, and slowly erodes your connections to people who might give you perspective on what's really happening. What comes next is so calculated, it's going to make you question every nice thing she's ever done.
Number 4, the gratitude guilt trip. She starts doing extra nice things, cooking special meals, buying you gifts, being sexually available, then uses these actions as evidence of her devotion. Any suspicion becomes ungrateful behavior toward a loving wife. It's emotional blackmail disguised as affection. Every kind gesture becomes ammunition in her arsenal. After everything I do for you, this is how you repay me? The implication is that good wives don't cheat, and since she's being good to you, your suspicions are unfounded and hurtful. She's created an emotional ledger where her kindness should buy your silence. These gestures aren't spontaneous love, they're calculated guilt insurance. She's banking goodwill to cash in later when she needs to deflect suspicion or gain more freedom. The better she treats you, the more unreasonable your concerns seem to everyone, including yourself. But the most diabolical part is still coming. Manipulation number 4 will make you sick.
Watch the timing of these gestures carefully. Extra attention comes right before or after suspicious periods. She's exceptionally loving right before a business trip where she'll actually be with her affair partner. She's incredibly sexual right after a weekend where her stories didn't add up. The guilt from cheating manifests as overcompensation at home. The psychological manipulation works because it exploits your gratitude and makes you feel like a monster for suspecting someone who's so good to you. How can you question the motives of someone who just cooked your favorite meal and bought you that thing you mentioned wanting? The cognitive dissonance is overwhelming. She knows that gratitude is a powerful emotion that clouds judgment. When you're feeling appreciative for her efforts, you're less likely to examine her behavior critically. She's literally using your own appreciation against you as a weapon to maintain her deception. And the cruelest part is that these acts of kindness aren't entirely fake. They're guilt management. The worse she feels about cheating, the nicer she becomes at home. Her kindness isn't love, it's conscience management. She's trying to balance the scales of her betrayal by being extra good to you in other areas. And now we're getting to the most evil manipulation of all. Number 5 will change how you see therapy forever. Manipulation number 5. The therapy weapon. She suggests couples therapy or starts going to individual therapy, positioning herself as the one working on the marriage while painting you as resistant to growth. The therapist becomes an unwitting accomplice in her manipulation, validating her narrative while pathologizing your legitimate concerns. In therapy, she presents a carefully curated version of your marriage, where she's trying hard and you're difficult, suspicious, or emotionally unavailable. The therapist sees her as the committed partner working on herself and you as the problem that needs to be fixed.
Professional validation gives her manipulation institutional credibility. The therapist, without knowing the full truth, starts diagnosing you with trust issues, insecurity, or control problems. Your legitimate concerns about her behavior become pathologized, and suddenly you're the patient who needs fixing, while she's the victim trying to save the marriage. What I'm about to reveal will shock you. She's turning professionals against you. Therapy becomes another excuse for time away from home, another place to practice her lies, and professional validation that your suspicions are unhealthy rather than accurate. She's weaponizing mental health resources against you, using the very system designed to help marriages to destroy yours. The manipulation works because therapists are trained to remain neutral and work with the information they're given. If she's presenting herself as the victim of your suspicious nature, they'll naturally focus on your trust issues rather than investigating whether there's a legitimate reason for your concerns. She uses therapy to speak against you at home. The therapist says you have control issues, or we talked about your paranoia in session today. Professional terminology becomes ammunition in her gaslighting campaign, making you feel like your concerns are mental health problems rather than valid responses to suspicious behavior. The most insidious part is that she might actually convince herself that she's the victim. By constantly telling the therapist and herself that she's trying to save the marriage while you're being difficult, she starts to believe her own narrative. The affair becomes justified in her mind because she's working so hard on the relationship. But wait, it gets worse. Stay with me because I'm about to show you how all 5 work together like a master plan. These manipulations work together to create a complete alternate reality where she's the devoted wife being victimized by a suspicious, ungrateful, controlling husband. Each manipulation reinforces the others, creating an impenetrable web of deception and gaslighting. When you question one area, she has 4 other manipulations to fall back on. Question her friends, you're controlling, and the therapist agrees. Notice her exhaustion timing, you're insensitive to someone who does so much for you. Appreciate her gifts, you should trust more and stop being paranoid. The system I'm about to expose is so comprehensive, you'll understand why good men get trapped for years. The goal isn't just to hide cheating, it's to make you complicit in your own betrayal. She wants you to apologize for suspecting,
to feel guilty for questioning, to thank her for lying to your face. It's the complete inversion of reality, where the victim becomes the perpetrator and the perpetrator becomes the victim. These manipulations exploit every good quality you have as a husband: your desire to be trusted, your need to be appreciated, your fear of being controlling, your respect for professional opinions, your value of social harmony. Every strength becomes a weakness she can exploit. The end result is that you're not just being cheated on, you're being systematically destroyed psychologically. Your ability to trust your own perceptions is eroded, your support systems are dismantled, your concerns are pathologized, and your gratitude is weaponized against you. The most devastating part is that these tactics often work so well that men stay trapped for years, apologizing for their suspicions while their wives continue their affairs with complete impunity.
The manipulation is so effective that divorce often comes as a complete shock to husbands who thought they were working on trust issues when they were actually living with chronic infidelity. But here's the most important part. Don't click away, because I'm about to give you the exact strategy to fight back. First, and most importantly, trust your gut always. Your instincts exist for a reason. When something feels wrong, it usually is wrong. Don't let anyone, therapists, friends, or wives, convince you that your gut feelings are pathology. Intuition is data, not paranoia. Document everything quietly. Keep a private record of suspicious behaviors, stories that don't add up, timeline inconsistencies. Don't share this with anyone yet. Just document for your own clarity. Your memory will be attacked and questioned, so having written records protects your sanity. Don't defend yourself against false accusations. When she accuses you of things to deflect from your concerns, don't take the bait. Say, "We're not talking about me right now. We're talking about your behavior." Refuse to let her flip the script and put you on trial for crimes you didn't commit. What I'm about to tell you could save your marriage or your sanity. Maybe both. Set clear boundaries and stop accepting non-answers. "I'm tired," or "you should trust me," are not acceptable responses to legitimate questions. A faithful wife welcomes transparency and works to address concerns, not deflect them. Demand real answers and don't apologize for wanting clarity. Build your own support network and don't let her isolate you. Maintain friendships, confide in trusted people, get perspective from those who care about your well-being rather than her image. The woman who's manipulating you will always tell you that everyone else is the problem. Don't believe her. If she insists on therapy, choose the therapist yourself and be prepared to give your side of the story clearly. Don't let her control the narrative from the beginning. A good therapist will want to hear from both parties and won't automatically assume your concerns are pathological. Stop rewarding manipulation with gratitude. When someone does nice things for you right after behaving suspiciously, don't let the gifts cloud your judgment. Kindness doesn't erase deception, and being grateful doesn't mean being naive. And if you think you've heard the worst of it, the final truth I'm about to share will change everything. These manipulations work because modern society has created a culture where women's emotions are automatically validated and men's concerns are automatically suspicious. The therapeutic culture has pathologized masculine intuition while elevating feminine victimhood to sacred status. You're not going crazy and you're not paranoid. You're seeing clearly for the first time in a relationship built on systematic deception. The gaslighting has been so comprehensive that reality itself seems questionable. But that's exactly what these manipulations are designed to do. Understanding these manipulations doesn't mean staying to fight them. Sometimes the best response is to quietly prepare your exit while she's busy managing her false narrative. You don't have to save someone who's actively destroying you. But before I wrap up, there's one more thing you need to know. And it might be the most important revelation of all. Your worth isn't determined by her lies, her manipulation, or her ability to make you question your own sanity.
A woman who needs these manipulations to maintain her lifestyle isn't a woman worth keeping. Your value isn't diminished by her inability to be honest. The right woman won't need to manipulate you because she won't be doing anything that requires manipulation to hide. She won't need an army of friends to validate her stories because her stories will be true. She won't need therapy to make you the problem because she won't be creating problems that need hiding. Stay until the end, because what I'm about to share could be the key to your freedom. These 5 manipulations are psychological warfare disguised as marriage problems. If you recognize them in your relationship, you're not paranoid. You're awake. The question isn't whether you can fix her behavior. The question is whether you're strong enough to stop participating in your own deception. The hardest truth to accept is that some people are so committed to their lies that they'll destroy you to protect them. These manipulations aren't relationship problems, they're character problems. And character problems don't get fixed by being more understanding or more patient. If your wife is using these tactics, she's not confused or struggling. She's calculated and committed to maintaining her deception at your expense. The manipulation itself tells you everything you need to know about who she really is underneath the performance. Subscribe for more truth about modern relationships that others won't tell you. Comment, "I see it now," if these manipulations opened your eyes to what's really happening in your marriage. And remember, a woman who truly loves you will never need to manipulate you to keep you. Your freedom starts with seeing clearly. These 5 manipulations are the bars of a psychological prison. But once you recognize them for what they are, you hold the key to your own liberation.